Well, good morning. Thank you for joining me again on another episode of Spa Talk. I'm Jeanne from Qatar Med Spa. And it's been a while since I've been on, but as we are closing out, putting an end, shutting the door, saying goodbye to 2020, as you can tell, I'm pretty ready to do that. I thought of what can I do to bring value for you for 2021. And I think really when we look at 2021, not only how can we achieve success, but how can we thrive in 2021? And I can't think of anybody better to introduce you to than my friend and mentor, Tom McCarthy. Tom and I have known each other for over 10 years, I think it is. But there is, when it comes to achieving success, I think the first thing we have to do is set the right expectation. And one of the best ways to set that expectation is through goal setting. And there is nobody better than Tom at setting and achieving goals. So Tom, thank you so much for joining me today. It is a great pleasure.
Well, Jeannie, that's quite a compliment. And yes, it's been over 10 years and we'll leave it at that, but that's quite a compliment on my ability to set goals. And thanks, I appreciate that. Nice to hear, thank you.
Well, I want to dig in and give people content here because there's a lot of content. So if you have a pen and paper, I'm going to suggest that you get it because there's going to be a lot of really great information here. But Tom, talk us to the beginning of what really is your motivation? Have you always been good at goal setting, and what motivates you to set goals?
Yeah, you know, when you and I talked earlier this week about me potentially joining you and you started asking some of those good questions, it really got me thinking about the role of goals and how they work in my life. And then so I really went up even higher to, let's call it 30,000 feet and said, all right, you know, we've essentially got dreams and we've got goals. And there's a difference. And this is how I look at it. You know, dreams are aspirational statements and we need dreams because dreams are, we're going to go way out there. We're going to go that way. But goals are really very measurable results. Goals are both measurable results and measurable journeys. And I'll talk to those in a second. And then you've got tactics. So it's the tactics of achieving goals that then allow you to achieve your dreams. And that's kind of how I think about it. And if I am good at setting goals, allow me to make a couple of quick points here. One, we all get the same 24 hours in a day. And number two, we all pretty much roughly share the same human DNA. I mean, I get the fact there are differences amongst us, but the point I'm making there, it's not like I've got some sort of goal-setting superpower. I don't. I really think it's a mindset that is basically attainable by anybody watching or listening to this right now. It's really all about mindset, I think. So you think, all right, so we've all got this ability to achieve goals, but you know, what type of goals are there? I mean, when you say goals, and what are you thinking about? And I think there are a couple of different categories. And again, you got me thinking about this. There are all sorts of different categories of goals. You've got physical goals, like I think you know me, I run 1,000 miles a year, and I'll keep coming back to that in a second. That's a physical goal. You've got mental goals, which could be, well, I want to read one book a week on a given topic. You could have monetary or acquisition goals. I want to make more money, or I want to get a better car, I want to get a kayak. Those are what I call acquisition goals. You've got what I call whimsical goals. I've got a whimsical goal of I play one round of solitaire every morning. And my goal is to see how long I can keep that streak going. And again, I'm going to introduce the concept of an early win, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. But I play one round of solitaire every morning, and I just keep track of how long can I keep that streak going. And then you've got what I call health goals. And these are probably the most important ones, where you tie in the mental and the physical, and the two really do play off each other. And then we can talk about New Year's resolutions and how they all fit into this, because we are coming to the end of a rather tough year, 2020. And what role do New Year's resolutions play in all of them? And in terms of defining a goal, I think a goal has got to be something that is measurable, and it's got to be precise. It can't be vague. Like, for instance, oh, I want to be a better neighbor. Okay, well, what does that mean? How do you become a better neighbor? You can say, well, my goal then is to pick up one piece of litter per week or one piece of litter per day. So your aspirational goal, your dream is being a better neighbor. The goal is to pick up one piece of litter off the streets per day. You know, and I think also goals need to be attainable. Losing 10 pounds, for me, that's an attainable goal. Running a 4-minute mile, not an attainable goal. So, keep your goals within the realm of, you want them to be stretch and reach, but keep them in the realm of attainability. If you set yourself up for a failure to begin with, you'll find yourself discouraged and you'll end up giving up. And then I think also, for the most part, goals ought to be worthy. And then I guess we can all define what worthy means, but I think, being a better neighbor, that's a worthy goal. Running 10,000 miles a year, that's a worthy goal. So, all right, so then you go from dreams to goals to tactics. Now you say, okay, here's my goal. I'm going to go do that. How do you know how you're doing? Well, you got to track them. You got to keep track. And you got me thinking about this. And I think there are essentially 4 ways, to my way of thinking, that you can track goals. And they go from the involved to the simple. And let me start off with some of the involved ones, and I'll work my way backwards.
Okay.
An involved way might be, and you know me, I'm a fan of Excel. I keep Excel spreadsheets. I like doing that. For me, it's kind of easy. And there are also applications or apps out there that you can take your smartphone and you can keep track of your goal. But some of those to me, they can also border on being fussy. And if having to enter data in an Excel spreadsheet or take out your device every day and enter something in it, if that becomes a barrier, then don't do that. You don't need to do that. Working your way back towards a more simple, an intermediate goal might be as simple as a diary. And I keep a running diary on my chest of drawers. Actually, my wife gives it to me every year for Christmas. And I keep last year's diary open up alongside this year's diary, so I can look back and see what was I doing last year, this week versus this year. And I just write down real quickly, like my goal is running 1,000 miles a year. It's a fun number to say. People go, oh, wow, that's a lot. And it is, but break it down to small bite-sized pieces. 1,000 miles a year is 20 miles a week. 20 miles a week is 5 days a week running 4 miles. You just break it down and keep it simple. So I keep track of it on my Excel spreadsheet, and I keep track of it in my diary. But the simplest way, and perhaps I think the most powerful way of keeping track or to measure your progress, you know what it's called? It's called the mirror. Just look in the mirror and you know whether you did it today or you didn't, and you're the only person you got to answer to. You want to fool yourself? Go right ahead. I think at the end of the day, the mirror is probably the most simple way of tracking your goal attainment, and it's powerful and it's really inexpensive. So that to me is kind of the 4 ways going from the simple to complicated. Pick one that works or pick all of them.
I love that. I think looking in the mirror is, when we look at the 2021, our thought is, new year, new you, right? I mean, you hear that all everywhere. But you can't lie to the person in the mirror.
No. Because
that's the person who knows exactly what you're doing and what you're not doing, and what you've done to maybe sabotage yourself, or, depending on what the goal is, or not getting up early enough to go work out. And now you've found that it's been 5 days since your last workout or since you've done whatever. I love that, looking in the mirror. That's because goals are very personal. They're very personal to every person. I mean, I think as a company, every company establishes goals for its team, or hopefully they have the team involved in those goal setting ideas. But for ourselves, it's a very personal achievement. So for some people who aren't really into Excel, and you said that you write yourself a note every single day. I mean, there's so much discipline that goes with goal setting as well. And what do you say to yourself? What's your self-talk when you don't achieve a goal? There are times we've all not hit something, right? What do we say to ourselves? What do you say to yourself?
I say, well, here it is. I've expected this to happen. I'm going to conflate a couple of points here. On the one hand, you want to be really serious about whatever it is. On the other hand, have a sense of humor about life. Be willing to laugh at yourself and say, oh, okay, I likely will at some point in the game come up short. And that's okay. Coming up short is not failure, and it's not enough to derail yourself. And don't allow it to be that. I think if you again, it's up here, if you allow coming up short on a goal to be seeing yourself as failure. Okay, but don't expect that that's going to happen. And then I think the most, one of the things, I've got 4 children. I try to teach them a lot of things, but I think the one thing I've really tried to instill in them is the concept of resilience. Just, it's almost that corny, get back up off the mat one more time than the other guy, the person did, and you'll win. But that's true. Stuff's not always going to go your way. But it goes back to, how do you know it's not going your way? It's because I'm keeping track. If you don't keep track of things in life, then nothing never not goes your way, because you don't know. You're just kind of just wandering around. Goal setting really, I think it makes the guardrails of life a little bit more narrow, and you're going to bump up against them. That's okay. That's okay. If you want to say, gee, how do I fit into the pie chart of life? Most folks don't. And they kind of go through life, never really feeling the guardrails. If you're going to be goal setting discipline, you're going to touch the guardrails. But again, I'm kind of rambling here. That's okay. Anticipate it, pick yourself up, and keep going in that direction.
I love that, the guardrails of life. That's awesome. Do you find a sense of competition with goal setting? As I was driving in this morning, I was thinking about some of the goals that I've set. And I was surprised at the underlying sense of competition that I felt. And I don't know if it's with myself or with other people that I'm trying to achieve a goal with. I know you belong to like a running club, and, other people will try to lose weight together, or they'll try to, even with your team, in business, you're trying to achieve a common goal. Do you think that that's normal, that there's this, do you know what I'm talking about? There's this underlying sense of competition, and I'm not really sure if it's just because I'm a really competitive person, or if it's, if it's something, maybe that's just part of goal setting.
Well, yeah, yes. I mean, and you would ask, what's my inspiration? What's my motivation? I think, the motivation for me, I'm answering your question. The motivation for me, it probably is true for most. What's your motivation for having goals? It's basically avoid pain. You think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, everything from physical security all the way up to self-realization, and there are various levels of pain you can feel. So you set goals because you want to avoid the pain of whatever it is, or perhaps a failure. So what inspires me? The person that finishes, when I run a race, the person that finishes right in front of me. I'm talking like right in front of me. We'll get back to running races next year. You look at most people, a 5K, 3.1 mile race. Go do one sometime. And then when the race is over, log on to the results page. And with the chips now, they track your results down to the 100th of a second. So if you're running right behind somebody and they finish 2 seconds ahead of you, that's 2 seconds. Like, well, how come you didn't find 2 seconds out there on the course? Okay, well, I'll tell you what. You and I stand still and just let me go run for 2 seconds and see how far that is. It's like, oh, okay, all right. So that becomes how do I close that gap the next time? And it's just a fun thing. It's not that the person that finished in front of me is better than me. And it's not that I'm better than the person that finished in back. It's not about that. It's just about how I see myself fitting in. In a running club, you know who your running cohorts are. You know who you're competing against. When you get to the race day, you look around, and I race against guys, and I know who's there. And if I can beat that guy today, I've done well. And it's fun to turn around and fist bump the person who beats you if you normally are beating them. That's just good-natured competition, but it's driving you forward at the same time. So again, I think one of the most important things you can do with a goal is to speak it out loud. The mirror holds you accountable to yourself if you speak it out loud to friends, family, acquaintances, running club. Like I stopped drinking 7 years ago. Now, I didn't go to AA, but I know a lot of people do go to AA. And I think one of the benefits of AA is you're making a public declaration that I'm going to stop drinking. In my case, I told my running buddies to the point where I was annoying. But again, I'm able to laugh at myself because they're laughing at me. So speaking a goal out loud to friends, family, loved ones overlays accountability, but it also overlays back to your points of competition. Like, oh, I got to do it because otherwise they're going to call me out on it. And again, being called out on it, I want to avoid pain. So therefore, I'm going to accomplish my goal today.
You're kind of fading in and out. Can you say that last part again?
I said in speaking your goal out loud to people, they're going to hold you accountable. So back to Maslow, you want to avoid the pain of accountability. So it all just kind of works together. So one of the points I thought if you're going to set a goal, it's not like, oh, I'm going to do my goal attainment. Tuesday is my goal attainment day. No, no, no. You got to build it into your lifestyle. You want to lose 10 pounds? Okay. That's a lot of calories you got to burn. So you want to just start keeping mental track of how many calories do I eat? How much exercise do I do? And in my case, when I check into hotels at Marriott, my profile has me on the second floor. Why? Because I walk up the stairs and I carry my suitcases with me. And that's just part of it's incremental calorie burn per year. Whenever I open a door, I push the door from the middle, not from the edge opposite the hinge. Why? It's like 2 extra calories if you push the door in the middle. So it's only 2 calories. You do that 100 times a year, it's 200 calories. You know, that's the same as running 2 miles. So if you weave everything into your lifestyle, it just becomes back to the same 24 hours. It just becomes part of who you are. You're a goal setting or goal attaining person. You don't have a superpower. You simply thought it through. You're having fun. You're willing to laugh at yourself. And you're acting as a role model to whomever in your life is important. It could be your children, your grandchildren, like you talked about, your team, your neighbors. You become a role model to yourself. I think there's just so many benefits that get built into it. And back to me playing one hand of solitaire every day. It's almost the first, I do it before I read any emails or read any news. Why? It's fun. Number 2, I get an early win every morning at 6 a.m. I've accomplished a goal already.
Love it.
You love it. You gotta love it, right? I've already, so now I'm in a goal. Momentum works both ways. So I'm setting myself up for positive momentum every day. It's kind of a fun thing now. And I keep track on my Excel spreadsheet. I think my streak is up to like 220 days now. And then someday I'm going to hit it. I'm like, oh man, I forget. It'll happen every now and then is I'll play the game. I'll get distracted and I don't complete it. And then so tomorrow it's like, oh, no, you didn't complete the game yesterday. So now you got to hit the reset button and go all the way back to 000. But be willing to laugh at yourself for that. Just don't, on the one hand, take yourself seriously. On the other hand, don't take yourself so seriously.
Well, I love that. I love the whole concept of not taking yourself seriously, having an accountability partner, whoever that is, and it could just be yourself. But also being truthful to the person that you see in the mirror and weaving it into your everyday life. Those are such great strategies because I think a lot of times we think, oh, goals, and everybody sets, my birthday's in January. And so I've always been a bit of a goal setter, but I've tried the whole Excel spreadsheet. I lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
It was not working for me. Because to your point, it was just one more thing I had to do to track, right? I need something a little bit easier to measure. And, if it's losing weight, the scale is a good measure.
Right.
Or, not working out, I know by my body that, I work out more for my brain than I do for anything else because it centers me. But I love that, working it into your everyday life, walking up the stairs, pushing the middle of the door, all of those things, depending on what your goal is, of course. Because, walking up the stairs isn't going to be great if your goal is to, sell 2,000 widgets in a month.
Right.
But anyway, I love that. So just to kind of close this out and round it out, every year you pick a word, and this is something that we have shared for the last couple of years. We've kind of pick a word, and you started it. What is your word? Your word for 2020 was relentless.
Yep.
What is your word for 2021, or do you not have it yet?
Yeah, it's the word is efficient, but I'm taking it from the Navy SEALs, and they talk about slow is efficient is fast, slow is fast. So actually my words are going to be slow and or efficient. Because you know what I find myself doing when I'm texting? I'm finding plenty of time to go back and retext things. So I'm typing way too fast. It's like, I want to slow it down and just do the efficient as fast, slow as fast is my guiding principle. So I don't set a New Year's resolution. I set a New Year guiding principle, and I only pick one because I think if you pick one, I'll remember it. If you set your New Year's resolutions as a list of 10, I'm willing to bet you by the third week in January you've forgotten 8 of them. So, right. So I say
I would
pick
agree.
one. Just pick one guiding principle and just make that principle help you attain your goals. Make that guiding principle help you focus on your tactics, which helps you attain your goals, which allows you to realize your dreams.
I love that. Well, I don't actually have anything to say after that because that was absolutely beautiful.
Oh.
Thank you so much for your time. Happy birthday. I hope that this is a fabulous year for you. And I just am so blessed to call you my friend and be able to share another year with you. So thank you for doing this. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Jeannie, my pleasure. It's good seeing you again, and hope it's a great year for you and Katara and all your wonderful clients out there. You know, as I often sign off on my emails, go get them.
Go get them. All right. I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you found this beneficial, and I hope that you also have a wonderful year. Take care.